What is up, everybody? Welcome to Sixers Postgame Live. Sixers get the L. Season comes to an end, 118 to 115. Talking top takeaways reaction. Joining me, he is Big Al. What's up, man?
Roller coaster ride of emotions is the best way I can explain it right now. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking through my notes. I went by quarter, and I'm like, I had this game over by the first quarter. Like they couldn't hit anything, and the Knicks couldn't miss anything.
Yep.
And then the tides changed and changed right back. So,
yeah, there's a lot to kind of peel apart in this one, guys. If you're watching us live, please be sure to comment your thoughts on this one. We're going to be talking Embiid, his legacy. We're going to talk about what the Knicks were able to do with Tyrese Maxey. We're going to talk about Tobias Harris dropping an egg of all eggs. But before we get started, make sure you join Phil Stifle tomorrow morning, trending in the AM, 8 a.m., talking more Sixers versus Knicks, Game 6. All right, we got to lead off with Tobias Harris because...
Do we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if there's any silver lining in this series, it's that he's the worst player, period, by far, period, on the court, period. 0 points, 0 of 2 from the field, 29 minutes, 3 assists, 4 boards, a -10. Out in a series overrun by Knicks role players stepping up and hitting shots, just like we saw Josh Hart there. I don't understand why we still cannot close out on Josh Hart. A guy like that should never be left that wide open there on that final three. But you could replace Tobias Harris with a number of Knicks role players, and I think the Sixers probably sweep this series. That's how bad Tobias Harris is. He should not be even getting a vet minimum. That's how yes, he had a really solid game 5, but he didn't give us the usual 9 points we typically get from him, and that would have went a long way. What were your thoughts on Tobias?
Number one thought is don't go spending all your money because you're not going to be getting paid like this again, ever. I don't care who's going to – he might be a bench piece somewhere, but like you said, you have a guy who starts the game who can't – puts up almost 30 minutes, can't put up 1 point. Not 1 point. There's times that he got involved, but then he just was – quick to throw it all away. He didn't want anything to do it. They talked about the term hot potato, and it was a hot potato to Tobias Harris. As we all have pretty much come to the conclusion, we're all over him. I wouldn't say I defended him. I used to go back, Tobias Harris is, but I always put the but. If your boss overpaid you, I would say it 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. He sucks. And like you said, the silver lining is there's no way he's come back on this team. There's no way in hell that they're going to let this guy back on. I don't care if he pays them to play. There's no way he can come back on this team. I mean, but in the reverse conversation, did Buddy Hield make a case for maybe keeping him after scoring 2 points all series long and then hitting timely threes to get this team back in the game? I mean, we forget they were down by 22 points at one point.
Yeah. Real quick. Can we just analyze this amazing shot chart from Tobias Harris?
Red and nothing.
Game 6. All we need you to do, bro, just shoot threes, rebound, play a little defense, and you can't even do that, man. Just an embarrassment. Just a straight embarrassment. But Buddy Hield had a really solid game. It was funny, too, because I tweeted at him saying like he's the worst player on the court, and sure enough, he rips like 4 or 5 3-pointers in a span of like 6 to 8 minutes. It was great to see him get back.
It's pretty amazing what he did in the sense that the Knicks are one of the best second quarter teams in the playoffs. I mean, it's the stats are there, and they were able not just to I think we would have all been happy if they got that lead with within 10 points, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How far down they were. Like, it just looked like an impossible mountain to climb. The fact that we were up 10 points at one point, and it was just amazing that we were winning. It was 36-22 at the end of the first, and then it was a 17 point 1 half just for Buddy Hield right there. Like, and then it ends 54-51 at the end of the half. I mean, it's just, if you blink, you missed it, and that's how quickly it happened. And this whole team, the whole fan base was just energetic. It was you felt like this team couldn't give it away, but they did because you had a flat fourth quarter, an okay third quarter, and you know the bench players came up big, but Embiid turned it on, able to get his 30 some odd points, 39 points, whatever it was. Tyrese Maxey, effort was there, just the baskets weren't. I mean, he tried his best, but after that game, on the last game, game 5, they weren't let Tyrese Maxey get his.
Mm-hmm. On Buddy Hield, it's amazing how like just a couple of buckets can just change your entire outlook. I thought Buddy in that first half, or mainly in the second quarter, you just saw the confidence literally come back in his body language, man. The early hesitations were gone. The shots started to drop. He seemed to get out of his own head. There was some really good basketball to end that second quarter. And I'll argue that I thought Nurse kind of dropped the ball there in the third, not bringing back Buddy Hield earlier in that third. I think Buddy didn't come back until the start of the fourth quarter. That was a big difference because I also tweeted out like the third quarter, I thought the Sixers were executing on offense, but it was still just a 2-point game, 4-point game, tie game. They weren't extending the lead. And you saw Buddy Hield on the heater to end the second quarter, man. I thought he should have went to him earlier and probably replace Tobias or something, or go small. Or let's get to some comments real quick. They're rolling in, guys. Please like this video. Help us out. Help us share this video out. Chris Moore says the team is not the answer. Trust the process, my ass. That's why you don't sit a streaky shooter.
Hold on, real quick on that one. That was kind of something I wrote down here. Like, I mean, hindsight's 2020 in a sense, but I mean, I understand he wasn't doing great, but do you think they waited too long before they got him back on the court? I mean, It was just like we put Buddy Hield back in this game because we need somebody to come alive. We needed some spark from somebody who wasn't Embiid, who wasn't Maxey. We know we're not getting it from Tobias. I don't want to see Paul Reed again, by the way, anymore. Done with him. And it's my thing is like, was it just like waiting to this game? Was that the wrong maneuver? Like, should have done it a game before? Maybe you could have had a little bit more timely shooting from him then.
To be fair, Buddy was really unplayable for
I agree.
In fact, I thought they should roll with Ricky Council or even KJ over him. And the fact that he had his best game in the series, kudos to him. But I thought for sure they should have went Ricky Council, give him that energy, but Buddy did provide that. And all things considered, I don't think they lost this game because of not playing Buddy Hield in the third quarter. I thought the Sixers lost this game because their inability to get stops in that third and fourth quarter. The Knicks just went on a tear. The Knicks shot 11 of 19 in the third quarter, and then 13 of 22 in the fourth quarter. And I thought that was the difference. I thought the Sixers offense finally got going, and just the Sixers lapses of offense just continuing to kick them in the ass. Because like, how many games in this series, if you were to just like remove like one stretch of basketball and it's really bad basketball, to be fair, like this was, I thought, an advantage to the Sixers. And one of the surprising things in this game was the bench scoring. Of all games, game 6, you had 42 points from your bench. 42 points from your bench. And in a series that I thought the Knicks role players have been the biggest difference without a doubt. Because if you look at the starters, the stats, Sixers starting lineup versus Knicks starting lineup, it is way in favor of the Philadelphia 76ers. And I thought that was just a big reason why the Sixers were able to stick in this game. Buddy Hield, 20 points, 6 of 9 from 3. Nico Batum, 16 points, 3 of 5 from 3. And even some of your role players like Kelly Oubre, 3 of 7 from 3. They were shots.
He was the one almost kept them in this game at the end. That was a really awkward looking 3 that landed. I mean, it was heavily contested. And then, following up after that and gave them 5 quick points that they needed to keep them in this game, because at that point, the Knicks were rolling. And the Knicks, I mean, for much I can't stand them, Brunson and Hart and DiVincenzo now and all that stuff, like, they don't miss, man. Like, that's the thing. It's not like, I understand you're gonna double team Brunson, but you leave Josh Hart wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they are Iron Men. Give them credit. They had really, I don't even know. Let's see, the Knicks bench points were probably like nil.
Yeah, the Knicks had
4,
5. Well, I mean, Thibodeau ran a 7-man rotation, but 5 points off the bench.
5.
And I was a little shocked that he didn't run more Deuce McBride, who has killed the Sixers in this series. McBride only played 9 minutes in this one. But let's roll on to some more comments before we get into Joel Embiid. Give Hart credit for hitting that shot. Maxey's a fraud. We're going to get into Maxey in a little bit. We're a soft-ass team. Did I seriously watch someone take 2 shots in an elimination game? Please tell me I'm misreading the stat line. That's the silver lining, guys. The silver lining is there's no doubt in my mind the biggest silver lining is no more Tobias Harris, and that is the theme of this show.
Flush him down the toilet, man. That one is...
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how inept and embarrassing he is to have on this roster. Oubre was coming off a double. Maxey stayed with DiVincenzo on that play. But the Sixers got killed twice now in this series on that same play. Just not closing out fast enough on Josh Hart, and it killed him. We should have kept Jimmy Butler. Facts. That is no doubt about that. Credit OG Anunoby, who I don't know about you, man. I don't watch as much NBA basketball as some of our other people on this channel, but that dude could not miss against the Sixers. Mid-range, 3. He's the new Sixers killer in my book. He had 19 points in this one, but had contested shot after contested shot or hitting wide open shot after wide open shot. He is not that good of a shooter. Same with Josh Hart. And this franchise is just cursed, man. We just see this all the time. Shooters just get hot, and the Sixers just leave these guys wide open. Maxey was cooked. He didn't have it tonight. We're going to get into why that happened. There was a reason for that, and that was the Knicks' entire game plan. We have a Knicks fan in the house.
Of course.
Steven says, been banging the drum for Hield. If no other reason, the Knicks go down a rotation of 7. Been a pleasure, Sixers fans, see all around. Tobias Harris should be arrested for felony theft. Celtics have the easiest road in the conference. Will we lose Paul Reed now? No, he's still signed. What?
Please. I'm so over
Paul Reed. He was really bad. He was really bad.
He looks like a kitten playing with yarn when he gets the ball. Like it's aggravating. Like he everybody's gonna make. Tobias didn't come up big when we needed him to. Even Tyrese Maxey didn't come up when we needed him to. When he played for how much time? Let's see. What was his final minutes there? He had 7.5 minutes. 7.5 minutes to give a guy like Joel Embiid, who has a bad leg, Bell's palsy, bad ankle, everything else in the world wrong with him, just to give him a breather. And Paul Reed looks like he never played basketball in his life. And I listen, I used to be like, all right, give Paul Reed a chance. Give him some time to grow. Doc sitting there, this is the Paul Reed tour. I'm over. Gone. Done. Yes. 100%. He is a zero. Like I said, I'm done defending him. I really did give the guy a break. But he only comes up big when it's good for him. He can play against when
bad defenses.
Yeah, when they're bad defenses, he'll shine like a star. But when you get guys like the Knicks out-physicaled this team for the most part. The refs were calling it a little different tonight. They weren't letting things get as chippy, I guess, as you want to call it, as they were in the first few games. But they were out muscling them, and Tobias just like, I don't know if you've ever seen The Wedding Singer when he lost his mind, and John Lovitz just like, he goes, he lost his mind, and it's like sinks into the background. That's Tobias Harris right there, just sinks into the background. Like I forget he's on the team, man. That's how bad it is. I forget. You said Tobias Harris in the opening. I'm like, who? Oh yeah, that's right. He's on the Sixers.
Yeah,
like it's just Ben Simmons all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad. Luckily, that ends tonight. So yeah, this series sucked. But silver lining is we can officially move on, and I think the Sixers are going to be so much better next year for it. Hield should have been earlier in the third quarter. Embiid never shows up in the fourth. I thought he had a terrific third quarter, to be fair. What did Embiid shoot in the fourth quarter? Embiid shot, let me put up this wrong. Embiid was 2 of 4 from the field. I mean, I'm not going to complain about Embiid. Embiid was awesome in this game. Keep the comments coming. We'll revisit it in a second. But I thought Embiid had a very good game. I thought he was not playing as much hero ball as we saw in the previous game, even though he had a triple-double. But I thought Embiid was really in control of this one. Again, 15 points in the third quarter, 5 of 11 from three-point range. I just give him a lot of credit. I thought he did the best he could to win this today. I could not ask any more from Embiid. Embiid finished with 39 points, 13 boards. He did have 5 turnovers, and he did foul out. But again, 40 minutes again. And I thought the biggest thing we saw from Embiid was him getting back to the free throw line, 13 of 13 from the line. Love seeing that. I love seeing him bully Frankenstein down low. Any takes on Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he did everything he could do. It's easy for everybody to kind of pick on Embiid when they don't win. If we won, they'd be like, oh, Embiid had 39 points. They lost. Embiid only had 39 points. He didn't have a good fourth quarter. Like, everybody didn't have a good fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey didn't have a good fourth quarter. Kelly Oubre had a better fourth quarter. Kyle Lowry, I mean, didn't do much at all in this game. So Nicholas Batum, decent fourth quarter, especially on the defensive end of things. It just they could not. They had no answer for Jalen Brunson. That's the problem. It wasn't the offense; it was the defense. They had no answer. It looked a lot like the first quarter. In the fourth quarter, they had no answer for this, and they're hitting everything. They were keeping them off balance. They're playing keep away from them at the end to kill the clock, and the Sixers had nothing to answer them.
Al, are you muted?
Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right. Sorry.
All right, just making sure. Sometimes I lose that too. All right. And that kind of rolls us to Tyrese Maxey in this one. Tough game from Tyrese Maxey. It was clear that the Knicks were doubling him all game long. All game long, their focus was to take out Tyrese Maxey, double team, triple team, and let kind of Joel Embiid get his down low. They didn't really double Embiid much in this one, but Maxey, I thought, was looking for the foul too much. At the end, like I think Maxey can learn a lot from this series. He got a very good case study of a player like Jalen Brunson and his ridiculous footwork and his ability to shift gears and penetrate into the paint and score at will. And I think Tyrese Maxey is twice the natural athlete Jalen Brunson is. And with the technique that Brunson showed us all series long, he'd be quite simply unstoppable. And I thought Tyrese Maxey was just off all game. He was unable to adjust to the Knicks double. What do you think about Tyrese Maxey?
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree. The big time I agree on, I have it written down here, is he just, going for the foul instead of trying to get the basket, especially in the beginning of the game. We saw that a lot. Yeah, hopefully this is the one thing. It's a learning curve for him in this situation, and that's what they did. I mean, the game plan was Tyrese Maxey, slow him down, and Joel Embiid, let him be slow, because they knew Joel Embiid wasn't going to be this. He's never a speed guy. They knew he kind of can't get up and down the court very fast. So what did they do? You saw that even at the end when they were trying to slow him down with the last 15 seconds left in the game. They just put the brakes on him and they flustered him, and he wasn't. We saw he tried to hit 3 threes in a row, and they just kept banging off the rim. I think that was in the first or the third quarter. It was, and he couldn't find his stroke. But then towards the third, fourth quarter, he just took the ball in and tried to, put enough English on the ball, as they say, and get it in then. And then, oh, well, I can do that, but it was too little too late in my eyes in that situation.
Yeah, he was forcing way too much. He was trying to shift through too many defenders. He was trying to navigate through too many crowds. And he needs to learn not to force it. He needs to learn to just find the open shooter and just keep moving the basketball. It was a really tough game from Tyrese Maxey. Barry says this was a great series to watch. The Sixers went down fighting. That stretch of the second quarter was arguably one of the better moments of this season. It was an excellent way that Embiid was pumping up the crowd. Excellent turnout by the Sixers crowd, FYI. I thought way better than the last home game. Somebody in Philly gave me a Philly cheesesteak, no mayo. Hey, guys, where was Tobias? Did he go to Waffle House at halftime?
No. They just got a broom out of the closet and put his jersey on, and he just kind of laid in the middle of the court. That, they could have been. You would have had the same effect from Tobias Harris cutout that you would have had from Tobias Harris, the real person, tonight.
Yep. Sixers have unlimited cap. We're going to be talking about Paul George quite a bit over the next several months. Maxey came through in the fourth with a count. He had several buckets, no doubt. But again, a lot of just looking for the foul rather than.
Agreed, Joe. Agreed.
The caveat here though is I don't understand what Tyrese Maxey needs to do in order to start getting the fouls, the love from the refs. It's been ridiculous.
I think the problem was, and we saw this with Embiid even in the previous games, it's the acting. You can tell that they're not going for we saw it last year. James Harden wasn't getting the calls. Embiid wasn't getting the calls. It's the same thing. When you try to force for the calls, just try to put the ball in the hoop. That's all you have to do. And then they'll get the foul calls. I think when you're out there trying to get the calls, it's noticeable, and they're not giving it to you. They know what you're doing. So they're not going to just hand it to you. You got to put a fight up, and it'll come. That's how I look at it.
Joey says, get Paul Reed out of here. Steve says, 100%. Have fun playing in the Philippines next season. Tobias, that's awesome. Start the process over, trade Maxey.
He deserves better now. Listen.
What you're trading a 20-year-old budding superstar. Moving on. Yeah. I'm not even going to waste my time. And then he says the refs called their bookies at the beginning of the game, and Tim Donahue to see what the spread was. Nova boys had home court regardless where they played. The Nova Knicks, man.
Yeah. And did they bring that up on the telecast constantly?
Oh, they love it.
I think they said that I would, if there was a drinking game every time they said Nova or Villanova. Really? Yeah.
I got shot on so many times by my friends that Nova is a Philly school. This will never die. I will never forget this ever.
No. I've written them off now.
They're done.
I've written them off. Yep. And actually, technically, they're Delaware County. They're not even Philadelphia. Just pointing that out.
Embiid has not played since January 30th, since surgery. Not 100%. An all-out warrior. Yeah, I thought it was a terrific game from Joel Embiid. Time for Embiid to go elsewhere while the Sixers can get. So that's going to be a conversation. There's no. It's not going to happen. but it's definitely going to be a conversation.
Hold on 1 second. And this ain't going to happen. We can get 10 first-round picks, 10, and still not land on a talent like Joel Embiid. Like I said, I'm on the record saying this. I didn't even want to see them make the playoffs because I didn't want to see him play. I was so afraid, especially that one where he put the ball off the back of the backboard, caught his own pass to himself, and then you saw him kind of tumble. That's what I was so afraid of. And like I know. Listen, I was just so afraid that they were going to play him. And then the Bell's palsy thing. It's like maybe like for the sake of next year, this another silver lining on top of the goodbye Tobias Harris is that he can like let him get better now. Let him heal up because next year's going to be a big year. Like we've seen it. Like we're going to have open cap space. We're going to have the ability to bring in some like really good role players, bench pieces, maybe another budding superstar, something. We're going to have the money and the spacing to do that. And that's why, like, I think these next 2 years are really going to be the big years here. You're going to have a more mature Tyrese Maxey. So I'm trying to look on the positive side here, and the positive side is the future is bright, and hopefully we can get him past all these major injuries and keep him healthy.
I think there's a conversation.
Get another big man. We need a competent big man. I'm not going to – you forget – trading Maxey, forget trading Embiid, forget that. Forget it. I'm tired of hearing it. It's not going to happen. We don't want to happen. You don't want to happen. Same people saying that, be the first people losing their mind. Oh my God, you traded Tyrese Maxey. What's wrong with you? That's what you'd be hearing from everybody who is saying that right now. No. What they need to do is find a competent big man because when he leaves the court, it is so egregiously different. That is the problem. You have to be able to give him a spell and not worry about dropping 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
That will never get better no matter who's on the court, no matter how many 3-point shooters you got on the court. If you don't have guys who can play better defense and a better big man, even a big man who could go in with him and complement him a little bit, and play. Because I mean, even when, let's be honest, when Embiid is healthy, he's still not the king of rebounding, even for a guy his size. It's not his game.
I mean, that's not his strength at this point with his,
and it never will be. It's just not his game.
Yeah. I would argue the bigger need for the Sixers is finding a competent wing that can create their own offense. I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses. The Sixers have nobody that can create offense for themselves. They have really very limited ball handlers. They have very limited guys that know how to throw an entry pass. For me, I would argue, I think it's finding a wing that can give you those things. And that's going to be Paul George. And I'm not saying he's going to be the difference between a title or not, but I think there's also a conversation about maybe you don't even need that third guy. Maybe you just load up on role players that fit
complementary pieces,
team guys that fit Maxey and Embiid, like the Knicks, and a lot of 3-and-D guys that can, and young guys through the draft that can give this team some athleticism and energy. But that's a conversation for another show. But Mark says,
I've been on the record saying that I don't want Paul. I really have not wanted Paul George. It's not been. I mean, not that. Listen, if he's here, I'm sure I'd be happy to see a guy of his caliber play in a Sixers uniform. But it's just, I feel like it's the James Harden type situation. Another big personality that's old and maybe past his prime. Like, we just keep trying to reinvent it. If he's one piece and you could do everything else you just said, fine, I'd be okay with that. But it's. I'm more on the board of just getting a lot of really good, competent players who do their roles, but the way they're supposed to. I mean, the Heat did it. The Heat did it with Jimmy Butler. I mean, they had, guys who we started like Tyler Hero and all that stuff. Why can't we do that? Because it's Embiid, it's Tyrese Maxey, and then a drop off.
It just blows my mind that, again, you're paying $40 million for a guy to put up 0 points in a game 6. And this is not even surprising to me. Like, I'm not even angry. Like, this doesn't surprise anybody because he's been inept in big moments his entire Sixers career. And you have a young kid like Ricky Council who is freaking fearless. That guy will attack, get downhill, get to the free throw line. He'll shoot 40% from three. It doesn't look good, man, for Nick Nurse. And I know there's politics involved, but it still drives me nuts, man, to this day. And we've been yelling it, screaming it from a mountaintop the last several months of this season. And sure enough, that's the difference. That's the difference.
Mark, as an interesting point, another little tiny silver lining is Paul Reed's contract would have been guaranteed if they won this round. Since they didn't win, his contract isn't. I've seen this before. I heard about this. So that's could be a silver lining. See you later. Adios.
I feel like everyone left it out on the court except for Tobias Harris. Maxey looked like someone who played 52 minutes on day one rest. Yeah, they deliberately tried to take out Maxey in this game. I just want to see more ball movement from him, and hopefully him to learn how to change speeds. Joey says, I love people who shit on Embiid. Any team who gets 0 points from a max contract guy usually has little to no chance. I don't think any other player logged that many minutes on Tuesday. Down 22, coming back was the only highlight of this series. The bench almost saved the night. Is Paul George?
Bench.
Yeah, man, they were great. Paul George and Campaign giving some solid minutes as well, hitting some big threes and
not just that, but the energy he brings too. Like he's a bit of a I honestly I'd love to see him back next year.
Yeah. Yep. Paul George even interested in being a Sixer? I don't know.
Money talks, bud. Money talks.
Yeah, we've been in this situation before, and we see that teams typically do not pick the Philadelphia 76ers.
Can I point something out? Can I just point something out? A little comparison. Tobias Harris, 0 burger. TJ McConnell, 20 points.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris, 0. TJ McConnell,
they're just
20.
built different.
I don't get it.
Steven says, finally have the cap space to help Embiid. Agreed. We need a competent big man. B-ball Paul is not a center. He's a small ball power forward. We need he's not been developed as a power forward. We need another.
And Obama has been a huge.
I cannot. Obama stinks. Like the amount of rebounds that were in the Sixers' grasp within the area, and just whether it bounced off their hands or off their foot or to give up that many second chance opportunities, to give up that many offensive boards, that was the ultimate difference in this one. And nothing new there. The refs won the Golden Globes Award for best performance of screwing the Sixers. I thought the same thing. Paul George, watching him play during the Mavs series, he's really good. Jay says Harris hides in plain sight.
Telling you, he could have walked in front of me, watch in front of this. I think he could have walked in front of the camera. We would have never seen him. It would have been he would have never blocked any. He could have even blocked the screen.
Yep. Council would have been a great guy to put on Hart. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I just get angry thinking about it. Game was winnable. Every game was winnable. I like Campaign. Brings energy. His defense was excellent. Where do we go from here? Should we get to player of the game, or should we talk role players, or maybe where we go moving forward?
I'd go with moving forward. I mean, player of the game seems a moot point.
All right. Yeah.
An elimination game. You know what I mean?
Sure. All right. Moving forward, we already discussed it, but wow, to finally get off the Tobias Harris contract is a big deal for the Sixers. I think there's, and call me wrong, Al, but Ricky Council in 25 to 30 minutes next year, guaranteed at least 11 to 12 points a game. Guaranteed. You can lock that in. That's how high I am on that guy. They have the 16th pick in the draft. They should look to get probably a wing to grow, just like another Ricky Council, or a ball handler. I would love to get a young ball handler to groom under Tyrese Maxey. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see if they can get somebody who can contribute right away. I mean, Ricky Council really turned a lot of heads. I would like to see him, especially in the beginning of the season, get more playing time if they could. Depending on, I guess, how they build the rest of the team around, Embiid and Maxey in the situation. But yeah, in the draft, I'll take anyone who can start or produce day one. It doesn't have to start. Maybe a definite young bench piece, almost like a Tyrese Maxey kind of. I don't care if it's a big man. I don't care if it's a wing or a shooting guard or whatever. Like, just somebody who can produce right away, because unless not, I think that number 16 overall draft pick is almost going to be useless. And what we're working for, because we talk about the window keeps shrinking. And I think you have 2 years here, 2 solid, maybe 3 years. Maxey's young. I'm not worried about him. But Joel Embiid, the injuries aren't going to go anywhere. So it's very simple. You have to have a backup plan, just like Howie Roseman did with Carson Wentz and got Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a solid backup plan for a guy who's injury prone, even though his injuries are wacky and Bell's palsy. I mean, seriously, like, I'm still shaking my head about that. I'm watching that game, and before it was actually even something they talked about, like, that's not something in his eye. It looked like he was trying to wipe sweat away from his eye or dirt in his eye. And I'm like, that's not the way his eye's flickering. That is not something in your eye. So it's an odd situation with him, but you need somebody who can give him a spell and play competent. I'm not even worried about scoring, big man. A guy who, put up the simple shots, fine, play below, box out around the rim, keep guys out of the center, off the paint, those kind of guys, and also can be competent in defense and give this team a chance to stay ahead instead of, we built a 20-point lead. We're up to 4 points now because Embiid needed some break time.
Isn't that crazy, man? Like, just no lead was safe in this series. None.
No lead really is ever safe for them. Like, as soon as Embiid comes off, there is no safe lead. And
the Sixers were a plus 48 with him in this series before tonight, a plus 48 and then like a minus 45 with him off.
It's huge.
It's incredible.
But that's again.
I'll throw this out there, and I love Tyrese Maxey, but I'll take Embiid game 5 where he's got 9 turnovers, but at least he's playing excellent defense, protecting the rim in that overtime over Tyrese Maxey's game today. Tyrese Maxey was nothing.
Can I point that out in the game 5 thing too? The maturity from him was actually one of the big things. You just kind of pointed part of it out. Like, he wasn't landing his shots. He wasn't having those excellent type Embiid games like he normally would, but he knew that, and he knew he started facilitating other guys, and then facilitating Maxey, of course, and the other guys to lead the way. That was a huge maturity leap for me. Like, he goes, all right, I don't got it, but I can definitely dish it out. I can do this good. And he did that. And he, they collapsed on Embiid and they left Maxey, and then kind of like what we did with Brunson and Josh Hart tonight. Like, they just left them out there because they weren't worried. They're worried about everything else. And they rolled their dice. I don't know how you roll your dice with a guy that shoots like he does. And no, Drummond isn't the answer, by the way. I love Drummond too, like the next guy, but he's not the exact answer to this.
Embiid shouldn't start till Christmas. I think Embiid's playing in the Olympics, correct?
Okay. All right, we can talk about that right there.
That's a problem.
If you just had knee surgery, you barely survived 1 round of playoff basketball, and now Bell's palsy. I mean, come on, what's his eyeball got to fall off the socket or something before you no? Like, honestly, I think the Sixers need to sit down with him. I understand it's a big accomplishment and yada 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 and all this stuff, but you want to win an NBA championship. Gold medals are great. Don't get me wrong. Represent the country, win the gold medals. That's great. But I can't. I just can't. I'll lose my mind if I see him playing basketball in the Olympics. I will. I'll be the first one. I will tell you to trade Embiid at that point.
Give us a decent power forward, a competent backup center, and a long point guard to pair with Maxey. I think it's beyond clear, and we've been talking about it all season long. I mean, even Morey called this a transition year, that we should build the offense through Maxey next season. I think less of a role on offense for Embiid, more active on defense, more rebounding with Embiid. I think that should be the priority. And I like this idea of getting a 3-and-D point guard to groom with Maxey would be an excellent idea.
Let me ask you this question. Looking at the current roster right now, of course, Maxey and Embiid aren't going anywhere, even though people want to.
Wait, I got to throw this out. Steve says, no one here to defend Toby. Quinn, where are you, man? Where you at?
Yeah, right. Seriously.
He's always
Quinn and Tobias disappeared together. They did the same disappearing act. It is, they're hanging out the same Waffle House right now. I think Tobias is unpacking his locker right now because he knows he ain't coming back. But in all honesty, not including Tobias, including Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, 2 or 3 guys you want to see back next year, definitely.
I want Kyle Lowry back just for his toughness. I think
is he our next Danny Green?
Danny Green.
Yeah. Just that old savvy vet. He's not going to turn it on until he's going to turn it on to the playoffs type situation.
Danny Green never did 1/10 of the things we saw Kyle Lowry do in his short stint with the Sixers, man. Kyle Lowry's a guy that will get offensive fouls. He could be a spark plug. He can shoot the 3. He will bust his ass down to the other end of the court and contest a 3-pointer. I love Kyle Lowry's on a cheap deal would be a really smart move. So obviously Maxey and Embiid. I would love Nico Batum to stay with the Sixers. I think his defense was underrated this series, and I think his fit with Embiid is pitch perfect. He's probably the best wing to pair with Embiid in quite some time. So if we can,
is Campaign still under contract next year?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm looking it up now, but we do have Ricky Council on a 4-year deal, so he's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Campaign is signed, is an unrestricted free agent, so he is a free agent. So that was Moore's entire plan, and we said it from the beginning of this season was to go into this season with max cap space to be able to basically make the team his. And to be fair, he's never really gotten that opportunity. He wasn't the one who signed Tobias Harris. He wasn't the one who brought in Doc Rivers. What I don't get is they need big shots. Buddy did that. And then they moved away from that in the second half. Fact.
Joe, 100% agree, man. It was mind-boggling.
That lack of adjustment, the lineups, the inability for the Sixers to pull away in that third quarter was a huge difference in this game, I thought. And you had Buddy Hield on the heater, and you didn't make that move. At the end of the day, I thought the Sixers' defense was horrible in the second half. But that in a game that's literally decided by 1 or 2 possessions, and as every game has been, I thought they should have went to Buddy Hield earlier. I
think they were relying on their shots to keep falling into that second half more as it did in the second quarter, because it just seemed like they were just throwing the ball up there a little bit much, and then when they getting back on defense, we all know transition defense isn't great. Doesn't matter who was coaching them, hasn't been great, especially with Embiid hobbling up and down the court. But it's just I think they were expecting more shots to land and to kind of pull away, and it never happened.
We lost a 6-game series. Do you know what the point differential was in this series?
What?
-1.
Really?
That's insane.
Yeah.
What a series, man. I mean,
you can't say it wasn't entertaining. Was it a letdown? Absolutely. Absolutely letdown. But you can't say it wasn't entertaining. And I think Joe said it earlier, it was very entertaining, especially in that second quarter. Just like I said, that this should have been a blowout, really, to be honest with you. The Knicks should have blown us out. It should have been a 15, 20-point win easily. The fact that they had us by 22 plus points at one point, and they just complete S the bed in the second.
Yep. I would love to bring back Kelly Oubre on a reasonable contract.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Kelly Oubre 1,000% earned it. As long as it's not too crazy. Yeah, he is streaky. There's times when he looks amazing, and then there's times when he looks horrible. But that's just kind of who he is. But that athleticism, his ability to cut to the basket on the baseline and, D up and, kind of get hot from three at times. I would love to bring him back. I love Kelly. I would be legit upset to see him leave. Like, especially with the flexes, like when he dunks the basketball. He's
a big personality too. Like, he's a guy who gets the crowd going. No, and listen, I don't think he's going to be super expensive either. I mean, nobody was clamoring for Kelly Oubre prior to the season. That's why they got him on a good deal. I'm sure he was trying to do a little bit of a prove it deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think he showed enough to make it interesting. Not enough for him to go get some max contract somewhere either. So I think you can definitely get him on a fair deal. I'm not going to say team friendly deal, but a fair deal.
But I do like your plan. Maybe not necessarily the Paul George route, but truly upgrading this team top to bottom with role players that fit, young depth pieces. Because I thought that was the difference in this series. The Sixers' depth just failed them, and that there was just too much to overcome.
Well, I keep going back to the Heat.
A lot of ways.
I keep going back to Heat. You have Jimmy Buckets. And then before Tyler Hero had a resurgence, who did you have? You didn't have any other superstar, but you had really good star players. I mean, even the Knicks. Look at the Knicks. Jalen Brunson definitely is making a name for himself as a superstar. Don't get me wrong, but DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Robinson, Hartenstein. These guys are they're not premier players, but they all bought into Thibodeau's game plan. His game plan was to keep these guys strong, healthy, and conditioned to just run up and down the court. He barely, like you said, there was how many bench points did they have? 5, right? We said 5 bench points, and because they weren't missing anything. And listen, I know the Villanova connection. I feel is over annoying, but it definitely played a factor in this. In the sense that these guys have played so much basketball together that they know what each other's thinking before it happens.
Yeah,
and that's something invaluable you can't buy.
You got to give all the credit in the world to Jalen Brunson. I know he's
annoying to us right now.
He's very frustrating to watch, but man, he hit big shot after big shot all series long. Without a question, the best player in the series. Major credit to him. He's a guy that you would love if he was on the Sixers, and I get why.
Oh, if he was a free agent this year, go get him.
Yeah,
go get him. Yeah,
he is a dog, and major shout out to him. Sixers need a rebounder like Drummond. Agree on Kyle Lowry coming back. Kelly Olynyk can do a little bit of everything as a 4 or 5, like that a lot. Lowry for 10 minutes is okay. I think Batum is retiring. That's
suck. What I'm pretty sure he said he was retiring too.
100%. Or I think that's
100,000%.
100,000% on Oubre returning. Obi Toppin. Tiago would be here for every game. Man, I remember covering Obi Toppin in the draft with Tiago. That was fun. We have
No on board. Joe, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I'm just it's this. It's I feel like we go down the same rabbit hole with these past their prime superstars, and it's also a personality clash. I know a lot of the conversation. Maybe LeBron will come here again this year. Does LeBron help this team? Is he still a great player and play a high level? Sure. But does the personality clashing, him and Embiid on the same court, I don't think works out at all. At all.
Yeah. Give Brunson credit. Best playoff series I've ever seen. Super close games. Yeah, he was amazing. He hit big shots when it mattered. And watch him average 15 points a game in the next series.
Yeah, right.
Or watch Josh Hart and OG Anunoby shoot 20% from 3 in the next series, and I'll just run my head through a wall. It's so frustrating.
Right now, looking at who's playing, who's your Eastern Conference final?
Jesus.
I'm saying
I'm not tapped in. I'm like the wrong one to watch on that one. But probably the Celtics, unfortunately.
And I just think the Knicks, if they play like they did against the Pacers,
that's what everybody wants. There's no question. Everybody wants the Knicks and Celtics.
Yeah. But again, I'm not looking past the Pacers either. I think really played some great I know Milwaukee's not the Milwaukee we know. They've definitely, they had. Is it funny though that Doc Rivers, took a team that was top in the NBA and just let them all blow it to the Indiana Pacers. The first Indiana Pacers move on to the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years.
Yeah. Joey says media was ripping Brunson the first 2 games of this season, and he said his contract, great player. Diego, my bad, says all this cap and horrible free agent class. It's not a good free agent class. You're going to have to hope somebody demands a trade or something. I can't see the Knicks having much left for Indiana's pace. Indiana plays at a crazy pace.
It's going to be a high tempo.
An effort. We have a Nova fan, I think.
No, it's just a kicking are going and effort Nova guys. I don't know. I that was fingers didn't really add up there. Roku is finished. His knee. Yeah, Roku's done. I don't even know. He's not. He was scratched tonight, right? Inactive players. Yeah, Robert Covington. I mean,
yeah, he hasn't played in a long time.
KJ Martin, Jeff Downton.
I mean, he's a young player. I mean, he's not young. He's
wasn't he like a 10-day contract?
When they signed him, I was like, "Oh, he looks fun because he's actually getting buckets." But then you look him up, and he's like 27 years old. So
yeah,
he's not terribly young. Yeah, I give the Knicks all.
He was like when Derek Hall came to the Phillies, hit a bunch of home runs.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, this good young player. Oh, he's almost 30. It's like, oh, okay.
Breaking news: the Sixers signed Tobias to 3 years, 93. That's the move. That's the move where I'm probably done. I'm like, you know what? Like the Sixers are unserious about basketball, and I'm done.
There will be no get process next year. Next season, we will cancel get process if Tobias Harris is on this.
But for me, like I wouldn't even watch the Sixers. I wouldn't watch the NBA. I'm done. Like I'd move on.
They always talk about the NFL script. That would be the NBA script.
Knicks are a 50-win team. They aren't that good. I still agree. I still believe the Sixers had more talent, but there's no question, pound for pound, like the Sixers have more talent, but the Knicks are a more cohesive team. The IQ, the coaching, and I thought
connection. It's that connection we just talked about. That's the biggest difference.
More cohesive roster, the depth pieces, everything fits better than what the Sixers had. No question.
Listen, yeah, on paper, much more talented team, and we had the most talented player on the court. He wasn't 100%, but the most talented player on the court. But they like you just said, they out hustled. They out hustled them. It was like fighting the Flash. They were moving too fast. You couldn't throw a punch.
The effort level from the Knicks was just top to bottom better than the Sixers all series long. Just how many extra second chance opportunities and offensive boards did we see every game, man? It was the difference. Like when you're giving a team 15 extra chances a game at least, you can't win that way.
Tobias Harris makes another $100 million in the NBA. I'm going to vomit.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up. I have nothing else. Do you have anything?
Real quick before we head out, I just want to mention, guys, there still is another team going on in Philadelphia, and the Phillies are that team. Woo! The Fightins final still going strong, and we'll have a special on location Fightins final for all you Phillies fans on May 11th. A lot of the EOP crew members might be popping out, especially us Fightins final crew members. Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard, Drexel Hill, PA. The Holiday Inn and Suites at the Drexel Brook Event Center. That's right, May 11th, this next coming Saturday, a week from tomorrow. A week from tomorrow because it is almost 1 o'clock. And they, it's right before Mother's Day. So bring mom out. There's going to be a brunch. I'm going to have all the information coming out. Check our event on Facebook, but I'll have more information coming out. And also just be there. If you're there, you get a chance to win 2 free tickets. I stole Joe's tickets. The guy who's been chiming in this whole time, I stole his tickets. He knows it now. He's really pissed at me. That's why he's only talking to me through the comments. And he's free ticket giveaway. So for June 28th, and by the way, he didn't notice this, but I think it's a fireworks game. So if that doesn't make it even more appealing. So come on out. Great food, great. There'll be beer and drink specials the whole time. Hang out before and after the game as well during the game. We'll be on the porch. It's going to be beautiful. They have an outdoor TV, an outdoor bar. The place is absolutely beautiful. Bring your wife, bring your mom, bring your kids, bring your family, whoever it is you want to bring. Have a good old time. Come out to the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar at the Holiday Inn and Suites at Drexel Brook Event Center. And also, you Phillies fans, Wiffle Ball Mania will be back at Dolan Saturday, May 25th at 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. Get to play Wiffle Ball with Mickey Morandini and John Kruk. What more could you ask for you if you're a Phillies fan growing up in this area? And like you said earlier, check out Phil. Yeah, sorry, bud, stole your tickets. Check out Phil tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to have plenty to say. So if you haven't vented enough with me and Dibes, you'll get to vent tomorrow more at 8 a.m. right here on Edge of Philly Sports. And here is the lineup that if you missed anything, it's been podcasted. And tomorrow, trending in the AM, the Steel Steps will be at it. And, of course, the Fighting's Final. I think Matty B is on that call tomorrow. So plenty of stuff to go on. Don't worry about the get process on Saturday because that ain't happening.
I love our comments, man. You guys are the best. Harris's next big payday will be at Sheets or Wawa.
I'm telling you, like, honestly, if he makes $100 million next year, life is unfair.
That's crazy.
If I suck that much at my job, I would literally be working at Wawa right now.
The Knicks are all hard. They won every 50-50 ball. They crashed the boards. They play swarming defense. Facts, man. That was
out hustled is the word I'm going to use. The term I'm going to use. Out hustled. We got out hustled. We did. They used their speed and they wore us down, and that's what happened. But we're going to end it right there. Guys, check me out. Like I said, I'll be back on the Fighting's Final on Saturday. This Saturday coming up. So big weird 4-game series that starts on a Friday, ends on a Monday. But they're playing the Giants at Citizens Bank Park. If you're gonna be down there tomorrow, a bunch of us here at EOP will be down there. So come look for a group of knuckleheads. We'll be there. And plenty more things to come here at EOP. So stay tuned.
Guys, thank you everyone for watching. Not the way we wanted this season to end, but there are some positives to look forward to this offseason. This is Daryl Morey's time, period. This is his time to shine, to make moves and improve this ball club. Whether you believe it can take the Sixers over the top with Embiid and Maxey, that is a different conversation. But we'll be talking about that all season long.
We're doing an NBA draft coverage too, right?
I don't know.
I know we're doing NHL and MLB draft coverage. We have some of that coming up as well. We'll be announcing that in the next week or so. But yeah, so we'll stay tuned. We'll see.
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that. I don't even know if the Sixers keep that pick, to be honest. I think that pick is probably going to be moved to bring in players in a trade.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
That seems Morey to me, at least with first-round picks. But anyway, thank you, everyone, for watching. I've been putting out these shorts and highlight reels of Sixers games all season long. And I guess I get a break for –
Take a little break. Take a little victory nap.
But we will definitely be back for, like, Summer League and all that kind of stuff. So one last time, Big Al, EOP on X. I am Dibes, Mr. Crockpot. I'll see you tomorrow morning for trending in the AM at 8 a.m. For Al, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.